For the split second, head down, let fly, and thank God it went in.
It was just unbelievable. When I saw that ball rolling over the line, I said, it was just hard to credit, really, because it looked all over. I couldn't see any way that we could get through all the Cork bodies in front of the goals. So I said, look, I said fair play to Martin Daly, like, for rolling. I'd say the Cork lad must have been unsighted. There were so many people there, so it was just something else, really. I'd say for the fans, for everybody, like, it was just something else.
Yes, Clare's Munster final victory over Kerry 5 years ago might have been sensational, but that this afternoon topped the lot. I suppose, though, in fairness, Pat Spillane, you'd have to feel sorry for Cork.
Well, far be it from me, Michael, as a Kerry man, to jump on those Cork people when they're down, but it's a game they should have and could have won. You know, they had the majority of possession, particularly in the second half. 5 points up against the wind. I mean, you'd have put your shirt on it that Cork were going to win. Credit to Clare, they kept their composure, kept plugging away, took the opportunities when they came, and indeed scored the vital goal. But remember, Cork were the most successful team in the league up to the league final, but that success was built on fitness, and fitness is all very well during the winter when other teams aren't as fit. Now, it's all very well running up hills in Macroom and running in the beach at 8 o'clock in the morning, but the bottom line is there wasn't enough ball work done, there wasn't enough skills practice, and it showed with Cork today. They fell down on the basics of the game.
And yes, Colin O'Rourke, if you look at the first half, I mean, there was an ominous pattern there from a Clare point of view. Started well, and then Cork seemed to have put them in their box.
Yes, and Clare started off with the wind and had 3 points on the board before Cork got a score, and then it turned around. Cork took total control of the game, and they played a lot of ball down the right-hand side of the field to Joe Cavan and Colin Corkery, and they absolutely destroyed their markers for the rest of the first half. We can see a very good point here at the start from Clare. Barry Keating putting a long ball up in behind the Cork defence to Martin Daly. He could have gone in and stuck it in the net. Instead of that, he puts it over the bar. But soon after that, he was doing a lot of damage. Cork changed their corner backs and things started to work out for them. They give the ball in quickly. Colin Corkery again comes out, kicks a point at his ease, and this was the trend of the game for the whole of the rest of the first half, with Cork forwards getting plenty of time and space and being able to kick points very, very easily.
In the second half, Pat, they still had plenty of time and space, but I've rarely seen so many misses in 35 minutes of a football match.
You must have forgotten about the dubs last week. Cork took a leaf out of the dubs books and perfected it today. They kicked 12 wides in the second half, kicking from impossible angles, as you can see with Aidan Dorgan. That was akin to putting a ball through the eye of a needle. Here we have another one. Pat Haggerty with time to look up, but got underneath the ball. The ball was never going towards the post at all. Third one here, Podsy O'Mahony running through, who's a converted attacker, gone back into the bins. A feeble shot, it hops on the ground before going over the line. Fourth one here, Joe Kavanagh, off balance, rushing his kick, tamely wide again. And finally, Brian Cochran carrying the ball into the fence, into a cul-de-sac, kicking with his left foot from the wrong angle and kicking it wide of the goal. Now, they kicked 6 wides in an 8-minute spell, kicked 16 wides in total. And I mean, Cork had problems in the forwards all year. They had problems today, unfortunately. Now, credit to Clare. When Cork got the ball, either in defence or attack, Clare really closed them down. And even in those clips you see, whether it was a Cork back kicking the ball or a Cork forward kicking the ball, there was always 1 or 2 Clare defenders or Clare players in close proximity.
Well, there was no script, obviously, for what happened in the last 30 seconds of the game. Great goal from a Clare point of view, but questions have to be asked about the Cork defence here.
Oh, fabulous finish. I mean, you must credit Martin Daly. Showed great composure in taking. Now, the free kick was 23 yards out. Now, how you can get a ball straight to a guy 23 yards out without it being touched by the opposition. He got the ball in space, was able to turn it. Now, you can see, I mean, the goal should have been crowded. All that area should be crowded. Martin got in space. Number 10 took out number 4. Brian Murphy slipped. He kicks the ball under Brian Cochran's legs, as you can see, between Mark O'Connor, under Brian Cochran's legs, and obviously Kevin O'Dwyer was unsighted. Now, that's a failure of the Cork defence, of the Cork players and of the Cork management. At that stage of the game, the entire defence should have been packed. When I remember being in charge of a woeful juvenile team that we played 14 defenders back in the game. Now, we were beaten 29 points to 0, but they got no goal.
Colin O'Rourke, let's move on to the man of the match from this game. Who did you pick?
Well, if it was at half-time, I think it would have been a straight fight between Joe Cavan and Colin Corkery, because they were the dominant personalities of the first half. There was only one Clare player really in that time for the whole of the first half, Ger Keane, who was keeping the Clare team going. And he did exactly the same in the second half. He scored 8 points in total. And whether Clare won or lost the match wouldn't have made any difference to the decision, because he was the outstanding player on the field today. And we can see a few of the clips here with Ger Keane He was able to kick points off both left and right foot, and he kicked them the first half, curls over a lovely point from left to right. Obviously, the way any left-footed attacker wants to be, but this is a special point. Drifts the ball from right to left over the bar. When he was running up to kick that ball straight, I was wondering what he was going to do with it. A lovely shot there, and then gets into trouble near the end when Clare needed a point, puts it over off his right foot. He helped to keep Clare in the game, and of course Clare had to come back. They were 6 points behind at one stage of the second half, facing into a very strong wind, and he epitomised the fighting spirit that was in the Clare team today.
And Ger, of course, also receives one of our gold watches as our man of the match here tonight. Pat Spillane, final question to you. Munster final in Limerick now, upsetting, of course, Killarney's plans in their revamped stadium.
Well, spare thought for poor Killarney. They're spending hundreds of thousands on revamping the stadium. It wasn't ready for the league final. It was going to be ready for the Munster final against Cork. A big loss for Killarney. Spare thought could also be Tipperary in the Munster final, so maybe Killarney could have it yet. But I hope not. I think it's looking good for Kerry, and that should really make me popular in Clare.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. More about that later. But first to the meeting of Dublin and Kilkenny.